Welcome to Let's Talk Literature. I'm Em.
And I'm Will.
And we're two book lovers who wanted to combine our passions for reading and gossiping and share it with the world.
Whether you're looking for a new book to pick up or a new book friend, you come to the right place.
So grab a coffee
or a little wine and let's talk literature.
I have chamomile tea today.
I had some of that yesterday. Ooh.
Nice.
It's so good. And I haven't had it in so long.
I haven't either, and I added a little bit of nowadays, so.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Going right to bed after this.
All right. I love that. Little wind down for the night.
Exactly.
Oh, of course, right when we start, my AC just kicks on. So you guys are going to have some nice white noise in the background, but it might be nice for the episode. Nice little relaxing thing
Little
for you guys.
ASMR, white noise.
Yeah. This is a safe space for ASMR. We love ASMR.
Oh my God, yeah, it is.
I took a little break from it actually, and the last couple nights I've been getting back into it, and I've actually been getting tingles again.
Sometimes you have to step away from it. It's like an addiction.
Yeah, it's almost like a tolerance break. Like
yes.
you gotta step away just so you can enjoy it more in the future, you know?
Yeah, and then when you come back and you're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever watched in my life.
Why did I go away? Go away?
I've been doing, like, my routine has been, like, 2 or 3 videos, and I never finish them. Like, I always get bored, or maybe I have OCD and I need to click on a different one, and then I listen to whatever audiobook I'm listening to as I fall asleep.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that's my
routine. I hope it's like a nice audiobook and not
usually not
a thriller, like true crime murder.
Yeah, no, it's not nice. So I actually had a dream that I met Donald Trump last night.
That's a sin.
It was a nightmare.
That's actually horrible.
I had a dream that he wanted to buy, like, the company that I work for. And he wanted me to, like, work for him, and I was hysterically crying because I was like, I can't work for him. I hate him. And my dad had to come get me.
Dad, come pick me up. Donald Trump is tormenting me.
Dad, you have to come get me. Donald Trump's here.
You're not going to believe it. You are not going to believe who's here, Dad.
I'm not going to believe this, but he wants to work with me.
Wow, that is horrible. I'm sorry
it was awful.
To go through that.
Thanks.
That's literally a nightmare scenario.
Yeah. So maybe no more thrillers before bed, actually.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea.
Maybe.
Because the fact that, sparked that as a dream, you reading a thriller, and then Donald Trump, it's telling.
The biggest thriller of them all. The biggest horror of them all.
Horror story. American Horror Story.
Fly flying by, I'm so sorry. I don't know where that came from. My window's open, so perhaps he snuck in through a little crevice.
Ooh. Do you have a screen on the window?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Skinny.
It's a
skinny little fly.
Skinny flies only in this house.
Are you sure it's the fly or is it you? Is it you?
It's me. And it's because I have a light, so it's attracted to the light.
Oh.
So.
I mean, hey, it's a part of the episode. It's all good.
It's fine.
It's all good. It's a fly on the wall to listen in on our April wrap-up.
Bingo.
Amazing.
That was great. Should we begin by going over what we're currently reading, and then we can also talk about May's book club?
Yes, I would love to do that. Would you like to start off, please?
Sure. So
amazing.
Currently I just finished a book today, so I'm not really in the direct middle of anything, but I am listening to Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, which I think I mentioned in the last episode.
Yes.
I'm waiting desperately for the ebook at my library to be available, and I'm the first one in line, and I've been for like a week and a half.
Oh, wow.
I'm reading really slow because I'm just listening to the audiobook, and I want to read it.
Yeah, I feel that.
I
feel that.
So I'm like maybe 45% through that one. It's really good. Nothing out of this world, but I really like it. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's basically about this group of pregnant teenage girls who are staying in a house in Florida, and it's a home for teenage girls who got pregnant and are not married or engaged, which is like extremely frowned upon. It's the 60s, and they stumble upon a book for witchcraft, and they kind of like use it to harness their powers, and it's interesting. I like it so far.
Very nice.
And then the other one is, I've been talking about this all month, and I'm really, really slowly listening to it. It is the nonfiction book All in Her Head by Elizabeth Coleman. It's that one that I've talked about where it's basically going through all of the different fields of medicine and how women have kind of been left out of research until recently. I've made a little bit of progress in the past week or two, but most of my progress for that one was in the beginning of the month. And then I started reading a lot, and I was like enjoying everything I was reading, so it took a back burner. But I'm going to jump back into it. I'm kind of almost done it anyways, but it's a fantastic audiobook, and it's a really interesting nonfiction if you're looking to pick up a nonfiction.
That was on your TBR too, I think, at the beginning of the month.
It was. Yeah, it definitely was.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. What about you?
A nice little mix of reads you got there.
Yeah.
So my current reads, I have been reading Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. I don't mean to butcher that, but I probably did. That is a very popular book in the dystopian realm. It's about these group of students who go to this boarding school called Halsham, and this boarding school is like lets their students be creative in any way. So it could be through art, through poetry, through sports, even like a bunch of different creative outlets that they let these students have. And on the surface, it seems like a really good school, let these kids thrive kind of thing. But underneath it, it's a bit sketchy. Things are being, slowly revealed to you that like not everything is as it seems. The way that the book is written and like the language that they use, it feels dystopian and it feels futuristic because it almost gives the same kind of vibe as like The Handmaid's Tale, because it talks about like these students have carers and they are allowed to go to these exchanges and exchange their work with other students, and then Madame comes in and picks the best students' work and takes them, and the students don't know where they go or anything like that. And the kicker is these students are not allowed any contact with the outside world. So everything is like isolated, and you're kind of following along this one main character, Kathy, and it's a split timeline. So you have present day Kathy, and then you have Kathy when she was in Halsham. And it's slowly being revealed what this boarding school really is, and it's very, very interesting.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I'm about, I'd say, maybe a third of the way through, and the intrigue is there. A lot of people rave about this book. Some people say that they DNF'd it because it's not for them. And I can see both sides, because I can see it being a little hard to get into because it can be very dense, but I'm on the side of this is very intriguing to me and I want to know more.
Awesome. I love that. I'm going to add that to my TBR.
Oh, you should. Definitely should. And then because I like this so much so far, I had my friend Riley recommend me another book by the same author called Clara and the Sun. And it's also another dystopian-esque book.
I didn't know that was the same author. Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. So definitely interested to see how that one ends. And I will be finishing that book probably by the end of the week. We are recording this pretty early on in April, so I think Em and I are going to have a couple more books in our wrap-up at the end of the month, so be sure to check out both of our personal socials to see what else we have read. And what I'm listening to right now, so I have that I'm reading, and then I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm listening to Incidents Around the House by Josh Mallerman. It's a horror book, but I'm so thrown off by it because the narrator for the audiobook is a child, and the story is told through the perspective of a child who is being tormented by this like demonic thing, and it's like latched onto her, and basically her parents are trying to move her and like get her to safety, and it's not like she only sees this thing. Also, like other people have seen it, so it's not like it's all in her head. It's like seems to be a real thing, but I don't really know much else past that. I'm like honestly more than 50% through, and I'm just like I don't even know what I'm listening to, and not in a good way. It's not at all what it's been hyped up to be, because this is very popular on TikTok. And again, this is another TikTok recommendation that I am being disappointed by. So very interesting
you say that, because I started that like probably 2 months ago, the audiobook, and I DNF'd it like 50% through. It just didn't grab me. But I've never seen it on TikTok.
Oh,
I saw it on my Spotify, like it popped up on like audiobooks we recommend for you. I was like, that sounds good.
I've seen it very much in the horror book recommendation space.
Interesting.
Which I don't know why, because
it didn't scare me at all.
No, I'm honestly,
it's like
a little
annoyed
corny.
me.
It's a little corny to me, and it's annoying. I agree.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that the narrator, like I see what they're trying to do, have it be a child because it's from the perspective of a child, but
isn't it a woman doing a child's voice?
Yeah.
So it's like it's really unsettling. Like I don't like, not in a good horror way, like in like I don't like this.
A creepy, off-putting way. Yeah. So I'm not too happy about that. I will be finishing it though, because I did start it today and I got 50% through. So I just had it like on in the background as I was doing work, and I mean I was listening. I wasn't like I wasn't distracted, so I know it's happening. So I guess there's something with that, but
yeah, that's something.
I don't expect a good rating by the end of the book, but stay tuned.
Moving on to our May book club. By the time that this episode is out, the poll on Fable will be closed, but we do have a TikTok up, and Will's talking about the 4 options that we have for next month. So you can go over and comment on TikTok and put your vote in through there, because we'll take those into account too. And then probably the 1st of May is when I think that's the day after. No, it's not the day after this episode. That's a week early. The 1st of May is when we'll probably pick the book, actually. So you have plenty of time to vote. So go check out our options and cast your vote so that we can all read together next month.
And thank you so much for all the newbies that have joined our book club.
Yeah, many.
I know. We have gone from about, I'd say 70 members to doubling that. So
yes, we did in like 2 days.
Yeah. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy both the podcast and the book club. It's been a great time so far. I think we picked very interesting books. We've had great discussion.
We have. All right, let's jump right into today's episode, which is going to be our April wrap-ups. Keep in mind, we are recording this April 22nd, so there should be a couple more, at least one more each for us that will include over on our TikTok and stuff like that. So keep an eye for that. But we do have a couple good books that we read this month that we are excited to share with you guys. So we are just going to jump right in, give you a little summary, our thoughts, our review, and that's it. It's a fun episode. These are probably my favorite episodes to record.
Same
because
here.
We just get to like babble. Is that the right word?
I think you can use babble. Yeah. I think we typically say ramble, but
ramble, absolutely. Yeah. I like babble. I like that one.
Yeah. We'll use that.
All right, let's babble.
Let's babble.
Do you want
to babble about the book club pick for April real quick?
Yeah, let's get that done.
Yeah, let's just get that out of the way. If you guys tuned in to last week's episode, you saw this beauty, Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley. Beautiful cover, absolutely gorgeous. I think I've said that maybe 10 times at this point. But we judged the book by its cover too hard, and it left us disappointed. We did not like this book, unfortunately, and you can find out why in last week's episode. So if you're interested, please go check that out. But overall,
we tore it to shreds.
We absolutely destroyed it.
But we do not recommend it.
No, do not recommend. No.
All right. My first book is Sandwich by Catherine Newman. This I read as an ebook. It's 240 pages.
Ooh, shorty.
A short one. So this follows a family on their annual weekly trip to their cottage that they rent in Cape Cod. I talked about this before on the podcast. I think I put it on my TBR and that's where I talked about it, but I'm not 100%. This book wasn't bad. It just wasn't at all for me, which is fine. So I gave it 3 stars because I want to be a little bit lenient. The point of view is from a middle-aged woman, and the title sandwich comes because she feels like she is sandwiched between her children, who are now adults, and her parents, who are getting very old. So she kind of feels like she's in this weird spot, and the book kind of centers around her going through menopause. And there's a huge focus on like the toll that takes on her everyday life and her relationships and her family. So it's interesting for sure. The writing wasn't really for me. I loved the setting of Cape Cod, and every time I read a book where it's set in Cape Cod, I consider packing up my things and going. So that gave it some points. I did really enjoy that, the way it was written, but the story itself just didn't really do it for me, because I couldn't really relate to the issues that she was going through as a mother, as an adult child, like a middle-aged child. I don't know, it just wasn't hitting for me. I didn't really connect to it. The humor, there was a lot of humor in it, and if you were that age group, I think that it would be good, but it wasn't my kind of humor, so I just didn't really care for it. It wasn't a bad book by any means.
Did it come across more cringy than anything else? Or
I don't even want to say cringy, because it wasn't like poorly done. It just was like something a mom would say, I suppose. Like,
fair.
I don't.
Fair.
So it was just kind of like like I was just like, okay, like I don't know, it just didn't really like do it for me. The children are interesting. The plot was somewhat interesting, but it just wasn't for me. So I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't for me.
Hey, and that's okay. Not every book's for everyone. So
Yeah.
I'm also going to move on to a 3-star read as well for me. This is my rating of, I appreciate others liking this book.
Yes.
And I can see good elements from it. Was it for me? No. Would I recommend it?
Exactly.
Probably not.
That's exactly what a 3-star is for
yeah,
me.
Exactly. So my 3-star was Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Now this book, wow, was it brutal. Like absolutely brutal. Before I even get into this book, check trigger warnings before you read this book if you decide to read it. There's some intense, very graphic parts that I was just not expecting, that I also didn't think was necessary, but I'll get into it. So, brief, short summary. This is a psychological thriller that follows 2 sisters. There's Claire, she seems to have it all. And then there's Lydia, who is this sister of Claire, who is not so well off, getting by paycheck to paycheck, 2 completely different lives. And they have been grappling with the grief of their sister's disappearance, whose name is Julia, 2 decades prior. So she's been missing all this time. They've had no closure about the disappearance of her sister, and it's really weighed on them both in different ways, and it's really like tore the family apart, basically. So in present day, we have Claire, who is, again, like I said, very well off, and she meets her husband at a bar one day. They're like, ooh, let's get spicy and let's go into the alleyway next to the bar and have sex. And so they do. And in that time, a man comes up and murders her husband and leaves her. And basically, the story starts from there. That's not a spoiler. That is just the beginning of the book. So Claire is like, oh my God, my husband's dead. This is crazy. And she then has the police involved, and they search her whole house, and things start to unearth about her past, her family's past, and her husband's past that are a bit disturbing. And now this is unearthing a lot of what happened to their sister, and there could be a connection between the murder of her husband with the disappearance of her sister. So it's bridging that gap of decades of an open cold case, basically. And the premise of it is very interesting. It's just, one, it was very slow. And I thought it was slow to a fault. I love a slow burn thriller, and I love an investigative thriller. There is a time and place for that. This was so unbelievably slow. I was waiting for it to just pick up at some point, and then parts where it was about to pick up, it just slowed down again. People said that the end of the book is where it picks up. I even thought the end of the book was slow. So overall, I thought the book was really slow. The pacing was just really inconsistent. And this was almost a 400-page book. It could have been 100 pages shorter and gotten the same point across. There were parts where I literally wanted to skim past them and not read them. I also thought that the brutality and the graphic nature of the book was necessary to a point, but I felt like this went way over the line and didn't have to be as graphic as it was. And I just thought it was really over the top. And basically, it made me want to DNF the book, but I was so far into it, I was like, I'm going to finish this out. And the ending, was it worth getting through all of that? Maybe, not really. I don't think that it really warranted the build-up of the book. It was very well written. Karen Slaughter is incredible with imagery, but it just dragged way too much. Hey guys, this is Will editing here. This is a little interruption from today's episode just to let you know that my audio cuts out here and it will be my phone audio for the rest of the episode. I apologize in advance for it. I will make sure to have this fixed for next week so that this does not happen again. I apologize again. Please enjoy the rest of the episode.
Okay, the next one I'm going to talk about is one that I treasure so much, and I'm so thankful that I picked this one back up because it was fantastic. This is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I started this in the summer as an audiobook, and I listened to it as I was driving to the beach when I work, because I work down the shore every summer, just on the weekends. So I was listening to it as an audiobook, and I kept not picking it back up as a physical book, but I still bought it. And then eventually it just kind of slipped my mind because I didn't get further enough into it to carry it. But a couple weeks ago, my dad was in my room and I said, pick a book off my shelf. I don't know what I want to read yet. Just surprise me, pick something. And he picked this and said, this cover is pretty cool. Ooh, I picked this one.
I like that.
And I was like, oh, actually, fantastic pick, Dad, because I've been wanting to get back to this. So if you don't know what Demon Copperhead is about, it is basically a modern take on David Copperfield. I never read David Copperfield, but apparently it's about an orphaned child, I think in the Appalachia region. This follows our main character. His name is Demon, and actually, what his real name is Damon, but he's always gone by Demon. That was his nickname in school. So his name is Demon Copperhead, and he is born to a teenage drug addict. And for the first part of the book, his mom is kind of in and out of addiction. Eventually, this leads him into the foster care system. Not a spoiler, this is on the side of the book. So it leads him into the foster care system, and we meet a very, very interesting cast of characters through the foster care system. He gets siblings, he stays with families, he meets people that he's related to that he never met. It is just a roller coaster of all of these weird, interesting, and kind of devastating side characters that he stumbles across. And we follow him all the way up until early adulthood. So we get to see him grow up in the foster care system. If you didn't know, the Appalachian region was heavily, and I guess still is, affected by the opioid crisis. And he is struggling with that for a reason you'll find out if you read it. So you get to see how that affects him and how that plays into basically not getting out of this town. And it's a really good social commentary on poverty and on institutional poverty. It was really interesting and very eye-opening to read. As somebody who grew up in New Jersey, in a fairly urban, suburban area, there's a lot going on in the town that we grew up in. So it's really interesting to read from the perspective of somebody who grew up with two houses nearby and fields and farms. It's just a very interesting setting to read from. And I really enjoyed it. It really made me appreciate a lot of different things, writing style wise, that I didn't realize I really cared for. And I don't know, I loved this book. I was originally at 4.5 stars. It's a 5-star now because I just keep thinking about it, and I feel like I left my heart with that book and with the main character. You just want to fall apart whenever you think about his story. I want to adopt him. it did numbers on my soul. It's really interesting, and the way that Barbara Kingsolver is able to write his voice is so good. Like, I'm going to read you just the first paragraph so you see what I mean. He says, "First, I got myself born. A decent crowd was on hand to watch, and they've always given me that much. The worst of the job was up to me. My mother being, let's just say, out of it." Like, you can just tell it has like a very distinct voice,
Yeah.
and she does such a good job. And I listened to the audiobook too, and the narrator's fantastic. So 5 stars. I highly recommend it.
I hear amazing things about that book, and that it's on the lists of like best books of that year and
Yeah.
like number one book of that year. So I definitely am going to pick that up. I always see it in the bookstore when I go, and I'm always like, I want to buy that, but then I never end up buying it. And it is a book that I want to buy because the cover is beautiful.
It's so cool looking. Like, there's just so many little drawings, and like you'll understand why. Like, drawings a little bit of the book, like it's a hobby of his, and it's just cool how it's all tied together. So
all right, well, I will talk about my next read, which is A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. This is actually a novella, very much in the same realm. It's not dystopian, but it's not our world kind of thing, you know. So this centers around our main character named Soren Johansson, who is a devout Mormon. He dies and finds himself in a vast, limitless library. His entire point of being there is to find the book in this library that word for word describes his life. It is very, 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 very meta. Like, extremely meta. It'll have you kind of thinking yourself into an existential crisis because it makes you think about infinity. It makes you think about the afterlife.
I don't like that.
It makes you think about life and death and what it means in the context of this story and where you would see yourself in the story if you were in his shoes. And it put a lot in perspective about the human existence versus what happens to you after you die. Very, very philosophical, but this was so digestible. It was just a snippet of a story in this grand scheme of an idea, and I thought that that was extremely well done. I did think, though, that this was a little overhyped for me. I was expecting a little more out of it than what I got, and I also thought I would breeze through it, but it did take me a few reading sessions in order to finish it, and this book's only like 110 pages. For a premise that was so mind-boggling, I felt like it leaves you with a lot to be desired. I didn't really know what I was expecting from this, and I didn't know what my intentions were going in. So I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. That's my rating for things that like give me some type of emotional reaction, but like nothing further than that. So this really did make my mind spin. It made me think about life. It made me think about death. It made me think about the afterlife. And it did get this across in a very digestible way, but I think I personally was expecting a little more. But I do respect people who rave about this book because it does do something so massive in such a short amount of pages. So I do respect that.
My next one is another fantastic read. This is The Sirens from Amelia Hart. Loved this. Yeah, the cover's stunning, absolutely gorgeous. I am a huge Amelia Hart fan after her debut novel, Wayward. I read that 2023 probably. And the main idea of her book was mainly females overcoming oppression and expressing inherent female rage through witchcraft. So it was like so cool.
Yeah.
It was just so cool. I loved that book. So I can't go into this one without saying, please read Wayward first and then go to Sirens, just so you have, I don't know, just so you have the full experience, because she's awesome. So The Sirens is her second novel, and it did not disappoint. This is a story following 2 sets of sisters. The first one's in present day. We have Jess and Lucy, who have a really huge age gap. I want to say they're like 16 or 17 years apart. Lucy is in college, and she wakes up one morning and she is literally strangling her boyfriend. And she's like, what the hell? Like, how did I get here? Like, she just wakes up choking him, and he's like, Lucy, what are you doing? And she like freaks out, and she's like, oh my God, I've never slept well. Like, what the hell? And she obviously is like very uncertain what's wrong with her. They were already kind of in a little bit of a bad stage of their relationship, and she's scared that she is going to get like arrested or reported. So she goes to stay with her sister because she doesn't know what to do. She's like, I don't know what is wrong with me. There's only one other person I know who has dealt with sleepwalking, and it is my sister who lives on the other side of Australia. I'm going to go stay with her. She gets there. Her sister is missing.
Ooh.
She gets there,
Okay.
and her sister's an artist, and there's paintings all over the wall. It's gorgeous, but she sees this one. It's literally like the creepiest thing ever. She sees this one painting, and she's like in awe by it because it is like a still shot of a dream that she's been having forever. And she's like,
I just got chills
oh
from
my
that.
God. Yeah. It's so like, oh my God, like you need to find out what happens. So that's where their story starts. And then we also have a set of sisters from the 1600s, Mary and Eliza. They are accused of a crime in Ireland, and you don't know what it is. You figure it out as you go. But their main part of their story is them on a convict ship from Ireland to Australia. There's a little note in the beginning that the author makes, and it's like regarding the colonization of Australia and the stories being told like around the colonization and everything, and how she's not the person for that, but she gives like all these recommendations for authors and places to do your research on that, which I thought was a really good way to write about like a culture that's not yours, but that involves, I don't know, I wanted to mention that because I really respected that. The two girls are on the ship to Australia, and we follow them as they start to physically change as the ship gets closer and closer to Australia. The story is really just about female resilience and harnessing the strength that you have to overcome small barriers that you face day to day, and then like institutional barriers. I just love it. Yeah, 5 stars. I highly recommend her.
My last book I'll talk about for today's episode is Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. I absolutely loved this book. Loved. Because when did you read this book?
I read it last month. It was my last read of March.
I adored this book. Now, there's a lot of people out there that'll say that this book is so incredibly slow. I saw someone compare it to a National Geographic documentary. You didn't give it a
Love
chance.
National Geographic.
Yeah, like have you watched Planet Earth? Thank you very much.
Hello.
This was absolutely beautiful. The setting itself was so visceral. If you know me, you know setting is a major part of the story for me.
I knew you would love it.
And this was so immersive. Like I felt like I was on that little island off the coast of Antarctica with this family, and I just felt like I was there, and these people felt so real. So I digress. Let me give you a little short summary. So this book is about, it starts off with this family, the Salt family, who are living on an island off the coast of Antarctica. And on this island, they are doing mysterious research. And you start to pick up along the way what kind of research they're doing. Then one day, a random woman washes up on the shore of this island. And that's our main character, Rowan. I loved her. She was amazing. And so you find out how she ended up on this island, but this family who lives there. This was so well done because I felt like this was another story that kind of transcended genre. It started out as one thing and then moves to the next and to the next. I was
for sure
on the edge of my seat. I was emotional. I was fearful for the lives of everyone. But I was also like, ooh, this is getting steamy. So there was a lot of different things happening. A lot of different emotions felt when I was reading this. And this was a recommendation from Em. I was like, Em, I need an audiobook. Like, I need something that you...
Oh!
And she was like, stop you right there. I got the perfect one for you. I loved that McConaughey was able to write characters so genuinely, but also so ambiguous. Like, throughout this whole story, I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know what was going on. And you kind of were just picking things up along the way until finally the end. Just everything came crashing down and absolutely blew me away. Like, this third act was probably one of my favorite third acts of a book I've read in a very long time. It made everything come full circle. You saw the entire arcs of characters and just you saw changing characters and it was all just it felt so real and it just took me emotionally. I was so immersed. I was just loving everything about it. I cannot recommend it enough. Thank you, Em, for the recommendation from you because this was one of
You
my
are
favorite
so
books so
welcome.
far this year. I did rate it, however, a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the only reason I did that was one, the pacing was a bit slow at
Yeah.
the beginning, and two, there is a romance that happens in this story. I'm not going to talk about where, but I needed a little more from it for me to believe it. So I got a little quarter star from that, a quarter
Oh,
star from
interesting.
inconsistent pacing. But other than that, 4.5 out of 5 stars. I highly recommend it. I recommend it with my whole heart. Go read this right now. And if you don't want to read it, listen to the audiobook. You will not regret
And
it.
if you don't want to read it, I hate you.
Yeah, literally, literally. This is also a book where I will probably buy a hard copy of it because I love this so much.
It's a cool cover.
Yeah, amazing, amazing, amazing.
Okay, we're on to the last book of the episode.
Woo.
This is a book I actually finished today, and it was fantastic. 4.5 stars, I
You had a
think.
good reading month. Oh my god.
Fantastic reading month. I really, really did. This I read as an ARC, and I got it through NetGalley from Atria. This is Julie Chan is Dead by Leanne Zhang. I read this as an ARC. It comes out, I think, Tuesday
Yes,
of this
it does.
week.
Because I
Like
looked,
a week today.
I literally looked to go get it on Libby, and I was like, it didn't even come out yet, Em. It didn't even come out.
Sorry.
Okay, book influencer.
I'm just telling you so that you can get ahead of the rush, okay?
Book influencer, doing your job.
Whatever.
Okay.
Whatever. This is a good one. This is a fantastic one. This is basically a combination of, and I hate saying these kinds of like marketing tactics because they never are right, but I swear that this is like a combination of Bunny by Mona Awad and Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Bunny, it has like the cult female group vibes, and it serves cult vibes to the max. Like, you will, if you like cult books, you'll love this. And then from R.F. Kuang's Yellowface, it has like the social media aspect and the cancel culture aspect of that, and then tie that into the world of influencers. It's gorgeous. We followed Julie Chan, who is a twin, and her twin sister has died at the start of the book. They grew up separately. They were orphaned as children, and they had separate foster parents, so they didn't know each other. Chloe, her twin sister, has died, and Julie makes the rash decision to take over her life because they are identical twins, and Chloe was a very famous influencer, like millions of followers. So the story picks up as Julie is struggling to put together the pieces of what Chloe's life is and how she interacts with everybody. She knows nothing about her, and she comes from like a very poor background. So this is like the biggest 0 to 100 ever. Like, she has no idea what she's doing, and she kind of gets wrapped up in it, and the story really gets absolutely insane from there. We meet all these other influencers, and that's where like the cult vibes come in, and it's fantastic. Like, actually, I could not put this book down. I read it in like 2.5 days.
When books do like social media, sometimes it can come across really cringy. Is this done very well?
It's done so well. Like, it wasn't cringy at all. Like, it was like a really funny satire on like social media. Like, there's a couple of like really tragic things that happen, and like a couple of the girls like go live. Like, there's a chapter like there's a chapter like towards the end, and like I'm not gonna say too much, but like, you know how on like TikTok live people can gift like those little animations, and it's like a mustache and like a party hat. It's goofy. Like, it's really weird and goofy. And if you liked Bunny, and Bunny is so out there, it's not as like hard to follow as Bunny. It's definitely more digestible, so it's not a hard read at all. But it was fantastic. It was really fun, and it's her debut novel, so I think that's really cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, you've completely sold it. Em posted a TikTok on it, and I literally commented right away. I was like, I'm reading this the moment that I can because you literally sold it.
I said in the TikTok that like, imagine like an A24 adaptation. Like, this is something A24 would pick up
for sure.
Like, it's absolutely something that they would pick up. Like, it's it was so good.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys for spending your Friday with us. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us and talk books. We absolutely love these end of the month wrap ups where we get to just talk about the books we read and what we thought. And we want to hear from you as well. So be sure to reach out to us on social media.
If you enjoyed this as much as we enjoyed making it, please feel free to leave a review, perhaps a 5-star rating if you're feeling so generous. It just helps us get noticed by other listeners who would like our content, so it helps us out a ton. And also feel free, if you're gonna post a monthly wrap-up inspired by this episode or whatever, tag us, because I would love to see that on TikTok or Instagram or whatever.
And be sure, if you're not already, to follow us on all of our platforms. We have Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, so be sure to follow, subscribe, and also just wanted to do one last shout out to all of our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in each week. We love you. And for everyone that's new, we are so happy that you're here to join us. And for everyone that's returning, you already knew. You knew what was cool. So thanks for being here. Thanks for being around. We really appreciate you.
All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week for another episode of Let's Talk Literature.